Joining me now, Republican Senator James Inhofe, ranking member of the Armed Services Committee. Senator, good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
As you well know, this Russian plan for Assad to forfeit his chemical weapons is out there. It has delayed the Senate vote. Could it be a solution?
Well, I don't think that's what delayed the Senate vote. The fact he didn't have the votes is what delayed the Senate vote. And I don't, I think it's a lousy solution. I mean, I can just hear Reagan. The fact that we are in a position where we're relying on Russia now to bail out our president out of this situation is one that is not going to work for this reason. And this is just my opinion. I don't trust Putin. In fact, Obama didn't trust Putin until last Tuesday. But you keep in mind that Putin's the one who supplied the armaments and everything, all the assets, to Syria. And now we're going to depend on them and their word without any way of determining if they're doing it to get rid of weapons of chemical weapons. I don't think so. I don't think we can trust them to do it.
So do you wish we had made a military strike already?
No, I don't think. In fact, I was the first one who came out of the chute not wanting to do a strike. And let me tell you why. And it's something that nobody talks about, Chris, but it's a reality. And that is, in the last 4.5 years, the president has so degraded the military and his budget. That first year, you remember that. That was when he did away with our only 5th-generation fighter, did away with our lift capacity, the C-17 Future Combat System, ground-based interceptor in Poland. That was just the first budget. And since then, in his extended budget, he's taken $487 billion out of the military. So we have a real serious problem. Aren't these two separate issues, though? One issue may be whether or not you agree with the way the defense budget is handled. There's another question about whether or not the U.S. military is capable of making the kinds of strikes that have been talked about. Do you doubt that the U.S. military is Chris,
ready, willing, and able for that?
But that's a great question. No, we can send in cruise missiles. That's not a problem. It's if that precipitates an act of war, which they've already said it would be, in the Middle East, and we have to follow up with a crisis, that's what we can't do. We're not in a position to, and this isn't just me talking. You've heard me quote General Dempsey, who's the head, the chief of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He said, we're putting our military on a path where the force is so degraded and so unready that it would be immoral to use force. That's my point. If you thought you could just get by with sending in a few cruise missiles, washing our hands and going home and nothing would happen, I think that Putin made it very clear when he was lecturing to us this morning that there would be consequences if we did that. So
your colleague, Senator Bob Menendez, said that op-ed by President Putin made him want to vomit. What was your reaction?
Oh, I think that's a pretty good reaction. Yeah, that it sickened me that we would have to sit there and read that. But let's look at it through Putin's eyes. He now knows that we had to come to him to get out of a hole. And so I think he's enjoying it a lot more than Menendez and I are enjoying it.
Well, you know what? A lot of people who have been supporters of the president's strategy here, and now we heard it from the British Foreign Secretary, they believe that the threat of force is what prompted this all along, that this never would have happened if the U.S. had not threatened force.
Well, I just don't agree with that. I know that that's what President Obama wants us to believe because he got himself in a situation, Chris, and no matter how much you support him, he was in a situation he had to get out of. And so it's the natural thing to try to say it's a threat of force that did that. First of all, you've got to keep in mind, you're talking about Russia and Syria, and Russia, who's been the supplier of all of the armaments to Syria. So why should we trust them to do this? So I think, I don't agree with that statement.
Senator Inhofe, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, Chris.